Hey there, Steve at Foxcan Farms. Do the tie rods on your John Deere tractor pop off sometimes and then like this, so they look like this? And then what do? You go to John Deere, you buy the new part, 35 bucks right there. Well, we're going to take a look at seeing whether we can fix this permanently and not have to deal with this again. So basically, if you've ever had this happen, you take a quick close look at this here, it wears down. I'm not sure if we can zoom in enough there to show that. I guess we could try. So can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. You can. Okay, good. That's good. So you can see it's really worn out here. There's a little ridge in there. So there's a number of fixes you could do. One is you take that bolt out, pop it back in there. Take the bolt out, set it down on like a vise or something if you've got an anvil, or concrete if you have to, and then you peen the end of it. Take a hammer and you punch it this way and then this way, right on this here, to pinch it in there to help it. And that'll get you by, say, if you don't have the time to get it fixed. The other thing would be, I hear people do, is they'll take a washer. I think that's about, well, you'd have to get the size measurement on there. The point is, think of the concept. You're going to take a washer, you're going to cut it in half, you're going to put this ball back in there, and then you're going to weld that washer onto this bracket here, and then it's not going to pop out again. Personally, you can see how it wears out there. I think we've got a better fix, and we're going to give it a try. First, we've got to get this thing back up to the shop, because while we could work on it here, a little bit easier to work on things where all the tools are, plus we're going to need to align the tires, make sure they're right, because of the way we're going to replace this part. So for now, I'm just going to try to pop this back on here, and then we'll take it easy and we can get it back up top. But okay, we're back up at the shop here. So it didn't pop off. We made it up here with no problems. In fact, I don't know, it might have been something unique how it came off. But what I did is I jacked up the other side a little bit so that there's a little bit of free play there, and I noticed something. And I'd show you this if you come in here and take a close look at this. Hopefully you'll be able to see this from your angle, but look at this. There's some play in there, and that play is right in there. Okay? Now, one of these, at least in my area, one of these costs $35 to $38. We're going to replace both of these for about that same cost as one. And we're not just going to repair it, we're going to improve it. On the end of these tie rods, right, one has a left-hand thread and one has a right-hand thread, and that's so that you can adjust the toe in on the wheels, right? So that you're not going like this or like this. So the interesting thing about this specific part for the 430 is that it also fits. So you can take a part number. If you haven't done this, I should tell you this. On the John Deere website, you can put in the part number and then change it from searching on model to part number, and search on that part number, and you can see all of the garden tractors associated with that part. Turns out that these parts on the end of the tie rod, they work for the 316, the 318, the 322, the 330, the 332, the 420, and of course the 430. Now, I also had done a search for that part, and I found out that there's a different part. It doesn't say it on the website when you look it up like it normally does, but there is yet a different part that replaces the part that's listed. And when you search on that part, there's even more garden tractors, a lot of the newer ones that are covered as well. So what we're about to do here today is going to work for quite a few different garden tractors. I'll try to put the part numbers down in the description, and you can do your own research. I don't want you making any decisions based upon what I've done, but what I do know is this tie rod down here is 1/2 inch, and there's 20 pitch thread, and again there's a left and a right hand. This is what we're going to use. Now I'm going to step over the side here, over to the bench, and give you a closer up view of this and show you the part numbers, what we're going to be doing here, and then we're going to make it happen. Okay, so one more thing I forgot to mention before we get after it here, make it happen. I want you to stay tuned to the end of the video because there's one more thing that we're going to do. Not only are we going to improve the linkage here, but we're going to improve on this. Okay, so what we have going on here, again, this is the joint we're going to replace it with. This is the ball joint. This happens to be the right hand thread. I don't remember which side that goes on. See, that's going to swivel there. This is going to go through, fastened to the spindle, part that comes off the spindle, and we can grease it. Got a grease zerk on there. So where did that come from? I bought these at McMaster Car. If you take a look on there, you can see the part numbers, type of linkage that it is. There's a right hand, left hand. You can see all those part numbers. All right, you know, most of the stuff on John Deere is metric. I honestly don't. This here though is a 1/2 inch thread, so it's going to be standard. So all we do is take that nut off of there, right? If you haven't done something like this before, nylock on there. Tie rod is off on this side. I'm going to do the same on the other side, and then we'll come back when we get that off of there and take a look at it. Okay, you could probably save yourself some time. I got to loosen this retainer nut here, right? By putting a wrench on here and on the retainer and just fixing that when it's on the machine as opposed to having to put it in the vise, so you can learn from my mistakes. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to try to get some sort of mark on here just to give me some general sense. I got to realign it anyway to make sure that I've done it right, but that'll give me some sense. We'll see if that stays. This, I believe, these are the left hand threads, and looking at them, we'll give that a try here. Oh, there we go. Got it loose. Okay. There you go. All right, and then all we're going to do, we're going to take these off. Okay, here we are. By the way, just a little heads up. I was comparing these two, trying to compare them, and if I put them at the center, they're about somewhere around 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch difference. And again, I'm not certain I can hold that tight, but you can see the new one's a little longer. So that mark that I made was of no use. I'm just going to clean up the threads here. This is just a brush. It's not a brass brush. It's just a, I don't know, I guess you'd say just a bristle brush. That one's nice and clean. Okay. Alright, let's put some anti-seize in there. Now, I'm hoping that this is going to be the fix, and I'm not doing this again, but hey, I always reserve the right to be wrong. So, as a result, I'm just going to pop some anti-seize in there. It's not going to hurt anything. And I like to get it in the threads if I can. Normally you kind of do it like this. I'm just going to do a little bit of both. This is our replacement part that we're using. The focusing. There you go. Alright, now this is pretty open in here. Might have an issue with dirt and grime. So my kids have a 3D printer, and one of them, I gave him some flexible printing filament. My wife and I did for Christmas, and I asked him if he could build something that would go over this, and I had a theory that maybe you could make it so that there's a hole in the bottom of it. It would slip over this and then over here. Nice thing about McMaster Car is the CAD designing is there. So he downloaded that, and then he designed something that would go right over that. Let me show you what he did. Take a look at that. Huh? Now of course you got to oversize it a little bit so that as it pivots, it's going to hold it snug against there. The only issue we noticed is that if it's going to show up there, if it pivots this way, we've got a little bit of an issue there. So this might require some fine tuning, but this isn't meant to be a complete seal. But this here, this is going to keep most of the dirt and grime and dust out. It's down by the deck there, right, when we're cutting grass. Here he had to reheat it. Those of you who are familiar with this, he reheated that to seal that up. And I think this thing's going to work. So here's how it comes out. Those of you that are familiar with this, there's a what's called, I believe it's called a bridging material that's in here. Now I could cut that out, or I could quite simply put a slit in there and leave that material there, and it'll help seal it up. And that is what we're going to do. So we're going to just cut that right to the edge there. There it is. It's all cut, ready to go. Yeah! So we're going to take this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on the camera because I'm going to have to stabilize it, but we're going to see how this works. And try to be on the camera and do the work, huh? There we go there. A little bit of manipulating. Well, he said it went on there tight. That's what we're looking for anyway, right? We want a good seal on there. And look at that. So hopefully this works out. I think it's a good solution. We're gonna try it. I haven't seen this done yet. I'm just hopeful that I've got enough space here for adjusting the tie rod still to make sure that hopefully it's not too tight. So we're gonna find that out pretty soon here. But this, let me know what you think about that. If that's something you might be interested in, maybe what we could do is put both the joint and the seal, if you will, on eBay or something, and just sell them that way, I guess. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. There you go. So you can see right there, grease zerks there. We got our nice seal right here, quote unquote seal. We're gonna see how that holds up against the flexible material that works with a 3D printer, and that'll hold some of that grease in there and keep the dust out. That's the main thing, keep most of that out. So I'll get this tightened up on here, and then I'll have to check the alignment on that. Okay, next step, adjust the toe in. So the tie rod is on, it's mounted, and we just have to adjust the toe in, make sure that the wheels are adjusted according to the shop manual. This is what's in the shop manual for the 430. I don't think I'm going to videotape it. I don't think there's a lot of value in you watching me take measurements. Okay, so got it all aligned. Just going to put some grease in here. It's a very exciting moment because we're about to test this out and see if this works. I don't know if you can see it. Why don't you come in here a little closer and take a look at this. This looks nice. Look at this. I'll tell you. Look at the look on there. So I've got it all adjusted. You got the difference you saw in the manual that you need on the front tires and the rear, between the front and the rear of the tires rather. And we've got our fancy seals on here, fancy homemade seals, just really more of a dust cap is what I really should be calling it, not a seal. So we've got our fancy dust caps on there. We're going to shoot a little grease in there. Just a little shot in there is all we should need. It's totally new, so I'm going to give it a little extra. Thing about those nice dust caps on there, I can't really see what's going on. That should be more than enough, I would think. Plenty of grease on there. I'll put a cap on there. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm just going to peel this back. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. Oh yeah. I'm not going to pull it too much. I don't want to ruin the dust cap, but you can see the grease is in there. It is working, doing its thing. Oh no, I got my new dust cap all dirty. Alright, it's going to be okay. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and then pretty soon we're going to give it a whirl, and I'll give you my thoughts on what I think on that. Okay, so that's it. That should be more durable than what was on there before and should last. Time will tell, but I think that's a better quality product that we have on there now. Got it all adjusted, and I'm hopeful that we're not going to be replacing those again. Time will tell. You decide whether that might work for you. Other than that, make it happen.